15 months ago, I lost my job, or rather, my contract was not renewed at my university, and I decided not to look for a new one. So, what have I been doing since? Let's talk about it. I actually had a question about this on Twitter the other day, and it was basically, are you actually retired and living off investments, or are you just being some frugal weirdo and living off low income? And it's a good question. And the answer is, it's complicated. So, around the beginning of 2021, kind of March 2021, I got this incredibly cold email from my then boss at the university. I'll put it up on the screen quickly. But basically what it says is, be aware that your contract will not be renewed after this year. So the end of your contract will be final, and we're not going to renew you. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And I was like, wow, that's very clear. Thank you for being so direct. And after 13 years at the university, I was a little bit disappointed, but I also felt it was a good time to move on. So I'm not gonna, I probably had a legal challenge to that in terms of, I'd been there for 13 years as a full-time employee. There's probably some kind of legal avenue we could have pursued, but I didn't want to. By that point, I wasn't enjoying the job as much as I was when I started. And it just felt like a good chance to move on. We also hit our FIRE number, which is the incredibly kind of subjective random number that I picked as, our goal. Around that time. So I thought, oh, okay, so maybe we have enough money so that we don't really need the work. I was making about 7 million yen as my terminal salary, the best salary I've ever made in my life. But I thought, maybe we can get by without it. However, that number has been really skewed because most of our investments are kind of world stock funds or that kind of thing. And so with the current exchange rate, with the incredibly weak yen, we're actually yen rich. But I don't know how long that's going to go on. And I'm not sure what's happening with inflation. And I'm not sure what the exchange rate's going to look like in the future. Like if the yen strengthens, we're going to have less money in yen terms. So there's a lot of variables there that I'm not quite comfortable with. Even though we hit our number, I'm not really convinced of that yet. So I wouldn't be comfortable stopping work entirely now and living off our investments, even though intellectually I think that would work out just fine. So what have I been doing for the last 15 months? Well, the first thing was that I got a retirement bonus, and it was quite a bit larger than I thought it would be. It ended up being just over 7 million yen. And the reason it was larger than I thought is because I was looking at the retirement bonus tables that our university has that explain it. But there was something I didn't know about, which is that if you leave between 10 and 15 years, you get a kind of bonus on the bonus. So it's larger than it would have been just according to the table. So I got about 7 million yen after tax, which is very nice. I got this in cash, and I've still got most of it in cash in the bank. This is kind of my emergency or supplementary spending fund. As well as that, I actually have been working for my wife's school. So my wife and I have this English school that we started 20 years ago. She does most of the work, and I kind of hang around and make suggestions that are more or less helpful. But I've been working there as a director officially. And the first few months were very busy because I had to do a full-time teaching schedule. But since then, we've managed to hire enough teachers that I'm not really teaching every day anymore. And it is more of an advisory kind of overseeing role rather than a everyday hands-on role. And that's really comfortable. And it's nice to have that income every month. At the school, I'm making 250,000 yen a month, which makes me the lowest paid employee in the school, but it's fair enough. I'm not doing all that much in terms of actual teaching hours and so on. I also do RetireJapan, which is not as profitable as it maybe could be because for most of the time I was running RetireJapan, I was also working full-time at university, so I was trying not to make money. because as a full-time university employee, if I was making money from RetireJapan, I'd have to tell the university about it and do paperwork, and I'm not a fan of paperwork. So basically, I tried to demonetize RetireJapan while I was working at the university. Once I finished working at the university, I brought in some new projects like doing an online course and things like that, and that did grow the revenue a little bit for RetireJapan. Now, as well as RetireJapan, I also write textbooks and sell them on Amazon. So between RetireJapan and the textbooks, I had income of about, I think it was 1.9 million yen, so just under 2 million yen, but I had quite high expenses. So for RetireJapan, I started the YouTube things, I had to buy equipment, computers, and so on. I've been taking lots of courses. So I've been taking, notably, I took the Ship 30 by 30 course, which was quite good. I did a video about that. I'll link that in the description. And I also took Ali Abdal's YouTube course, which was incredibly useful. And I think a lot of the success of the channel, in terms, it's slightly successful, is come from taking that course and implementing some of the ideas on that course. So that was very useful. These are quite expensive courses, so those again were expenses for my side income, as it were. And so my side income expenses were about 1.3 million yen for the year. So the net income from RetireJapan and writing was only 600,000 yen. So if you're enjoying the video, if you're interested in learning about money and personal finance and investing and all that kind of good stuff, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and keep making videos. So where are we now? So we're in a position where, again, we probably could live off our investments. So we're above our FIRE number, as it were. I was using the 4% rule as a random rule of thumb, and thinking, if we have 5 million yen to spend, that would be plenty. So once we hit 125 million yen, I was like, okay, we're done. It's slightly higher now because the exchange rate's got even worse. So in yen terms, even though our investments haven't actually gone up all that much, in yen terms, they're a bit higher because we're at 140 now as we're making this video. But again, I don't quite trust it. So we're still working on various things. We still have income. We're still saving and investing every month. So we're still maxing out our NISA accounts, our iDeCo accounts, and also investing a little bit in taxable as well as that. So we're building up our investments as we continue working. We do have quite a lot of flexibility now. So we have money, we have flexibility in terms of work and time and being able to take time off. And that's something that I'm really consciously trying to take advantage of. It's quite a difficult transition to go from work to leisure and to go from saving to spending. But I think it's important to do so if you're able to. This all ties into the kind of die with zero philosophy, a really good book I'm going to link in the description as well, which is basically that money is incredibly important for your lifestyle and the future and so on, but time is also important, and time is the opposite of money in the longer you wait, the less you'll be able to do, the less time you'll have left, the fewer options you'll have. So it's really trying to balance out that money versus time thing. So what we've been trying to do this year is make sure that we're using that time and using that money to do things that we want to. So I had a trip to Okinawa last week with my wife that was very nice, and we're going to try and do more things like that in the future. I do have a stretch goal. So obviously when we hit our FIRE number, I immediately made a new target. And the stretch goal is kind of silly, but I'm very goal oriented, and I like to have goals and I like to have plans on how I'm going to get to the goals, and that just gives me pleasure in itself. So our stretch goal is to get to 1 billion yen in investments and savings and so on. And I think it's possible, but it would be a stretch. We're going to have to work hard and be quite lucky to reach it, but I really find it useful to have goals. So that's our stretch goal, 1 billion yen. And I think we'll hit that by the time I'm around 70, maybe. So we'll see how that goes. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.